hello, sir. How are you?
Howdy do.
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. How about you?
Good. You know what's crazy is I always say that I don't expect a response for some reason in my mind because I didn't realize it's a question of how do you do. It's just a howdy.
Ah, you were
If
kind
you're,
of saying it's like a howdy.
yeah,
How
yeah,
and howdy is just short for howdy. How do you do?
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing. I don't. It always throws me off when someone responds, and I was like responds, and I'm like, oh, I was asking a question. So, but thank you for responding. I'm doing
Yeah.
well. Well, this is like
Awesome.
this is like a basic English 101. How
I
are you?
know.
Thank you.
Well, fantastic. Where are you right now?
I'm in Chicago. That's where I
Are
live.
you?
Yep.
You live in Chicago, dude. I live in Milwaukee.
Yeah, you're right up the way, just right up the coast.
We're way up north now. No, not way up north. We're in Stevens Point.
Okay.
Um, so you ever been to Stevens Point?
I've never been to Stevens Point. Actually, wait. Is there a college there?
Yeah,
No. Yeah,
you
UW Stevens Point.
UW Stevens Point, the
Yeah,
Pointers.
I did a I don't know if I did a comedy show there. I believe I did a show there, and then I also emceed a powwow, their student powwow.
Oh, no
Uh,
kidding.
yeah, yeah. So I was like years back. I think maybe 15, 13 years ago or something.
How do you get that gig?
This then the native student group invited me up. So they I did a YouTube comedy bit series playing a character as a powwow MC. People thought that I
Okay.
was like, hey, he'd actually be good as a powwow MC. So they asked me to come
Yeah.
up. I don't think I did too well. That was like my first actual job as a powwow MC. You know, when you're making fun of something and then somebody asks you to do what you're making fun of, it's hard to make the transition.
It's kind of the self parody of it is a little difficult of a thing there.
Yeah.
Um, have you was that your only powwow MCing gig? Did you get?
No, I've done like maybe 4 or 5 actual gigs. A funny one is I did my one of my first ones. It was like that, like my second time was my for my own community. I'm from Minnesota.
Okay.
I'm from a
Where in
town,
Minnesota?
southwest Minnesota, a little res called Lower Sioux Indian Community. It's up the river from Mankato,
Oh,
down
sure.
straight south of Wilmer, Minnesota, and you know corn and sugar beet country. That's where I'm from. And
Yeah.
the I got asked to do the powwow, the MC job for my own community powwow. And I was a co-MC. There's an older guy with me. And I bombed. It was hilarious how bad I did. It's my own community, and they didn't even ask me back. Like they were like, no,
Really?
yeah. No one came to shake my hand after. You know, that's a
Really?
big sign is when
That
someone doesn't like it's my own
you're
community too. I expect that cold shoulder, but like no one talked about it. Like it never happened. It like never existed.
God,
Um,
that's terrible.
it's
I
quite funny to me. It's just hilarious because I don't know. I have a history. We did a so I'm with a sketch comedy. I have a sketch comedy group with creating
1491s, yeah.
the 1491s. One of our worst shows was in my own home community. Like my home show was just it was we crashed and burned, and it's pretty
Really?
funny now. Yeah, no one showed up. That's the thing. Nobody showed up.
Oh, well, you need that, especially now. I kind of want to go into that. So the 1491s, I think I found your YouTube maybe a couple years ago. And uh, how did you start that? Did you start that as sort of a live sketch troupe and then go to the YouTube thing, or?
All right. First of all, I got to say I'm like super excited to be on here. Like
Oh,
I'm
dude, thank
been
you.
nerded out here.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
You've seen my stuff?
Oh yeah, dude, I've been seeing your stuff for a while, for like a couple
Oh,
years. Your content is on my feed. TikTok and Instagram are feeding me you, so you're being fed to
oh,
me. So
wow. How about
you're
that?
you're in my niche.
This is very funny because I've been a fan of yours for a while, so I'm glad that we both have the same feeling inside of us.
Yeah, yeah. It's
You
good.
know,
The algorithm gods understand our wants and needs. That's
It-
what. Yeah, we
well,
pray to
that's
them unknowingly.
I know that's the worst. is trying to serve this algorithm situation, but whatever it is, it's working. I suppose from my perspective, years if it keeps serving me up, but
it is. I mean, it's you and like home inspectors and like Malaysian women cooking at home. That's you're within that group. So
I'm honored.
Yeah,
I'm honored. Oh, thanks. So did you guys start though as doing the YouTube thing, or how did you get together? I don't know your story there.
So 1491s is a crew of 5 of us, a sketch comedy group. We do improv sketch comedy. We haven't done it in a while, but we started maybe 15 years ago. And really, way it started is with me and my brother Migazi. He's from Bemidji. He's an Anishinaabe Ojibwe from northern Minnesota, and we were just messing around. All right. I have to ask a question. Can I curse on here?
Yeah. Because I think I'm going to once I ask you if you're a Vikings fan or not. So
well, that's fair. I just. My second follow-up, well, actually, my first question was: Is this a Christian podcast?
No, I don't think so. God's gonna be pissed if it is. That's for sure.
No, so we, me and my brother have always been wanting to make movies. We've always been fascinated with movie making. My brother, especially, he's my older brother. He's my stepbrother, and he always wanted to make movies. And he moved out to LA, tried to do the whole bit, like moved to LA when he was like 19, got some internship program and grinded for like 3-4 years and nothing. It was just he got some opportunities, but nothing came up. And so he moved home. And it was one of those moments where he's like, hey, I got to go home. Like, this is not working out. Can't pay the bills. And he moved back home, and I went to go visit him. And I happened to have a camera that I stole from work. So this is like I'm telling on myself. I did a youth work program. I was youth services, and we had a camera for like work, and I took it with me. And I went to visit my brother, and I was like, hey man, let's just do a video. Like you want to do a video? And he was all, kind of sad, morose guy in the basement up in Bemidji. And I was like, dude, let's do a video. And we did a comedy video that we just came up on the spot. It was a spoof of Silence of the Lambs in the scene where like the guys like puts the lotion on the skin thing. And we didn't have a purpose. We just wanted to do a funny video for ourselves. Showed our family, had some laughs. We posted online, and people started liking it on Facebook. It was, I think, back in MySpace days. So like it started going amongst the native community, started going a little viral.
Yeah.
We did like a couple more videos together, and the guys, two of our friends from Oklahoma, they were also separately doing their own video stuff. One of my buddies, Sterling Harjo, he just did 2 feature films, and so he was touring. He was going on a tour to talk about his films, and they were going to do a showing in Minneapolis, and this is back in I'd say 2010. And so him and my other buddy, Ryan, they came up from Oklahoma. Me and Migazi were in Bemidji, and we're like, hey, we knew of each other. We're like, hey, let's meet up. And so we met in Minneapolis. Our 5th friend, Bobby, who I used to work with, I hit up Bobby. I was like, hey man, you want to hang out? And then we said, hey, let's make a video together. And so we on the fly decided to make a video together. Bobby found a spot for us, and we filmed a spoof of the Twilight series. The first movie had come out, the Twilight, vampires, the vampire series. We did a spoof about a casting call for the wolves, who are native, right? What was the casting call for a bunch of topless, shirtless natives look like when the natives aren't all buff? And we filmed it, and people loved it. And we just were like, dude, we enjoy making shit together. We enjoy like fucking being around together and coming up with ideas. And we just kept doing it. We just kept putting out videos, and soon we're like, dude, let's form a group. Let's create a name. We came up with the name 1491s, and it's an homage to Prince. Party like it's 1999. Let's party like it's 1491. Most folks don't get that homage to Prince. But
Minnesota, it makes sense though.
Yeah. So like we just traveled. We traveled, man. We traveled for like, 15, 16 years. Just like, it was our side job where we would do sketch comedy shows. People saw our videos and they would ask us out. A lot of student groups, a lot of college gigs, and mostly all native. So when we went everywhere from Alaska to Florida, like traveled extensively. And people ask, well, where's the 1491s now? What are you guys doing? Where are you? Why don't you make videos? And funny enough, and pretty cool, pretty interesting is that I'm now cast in the show. I'm a writer for this TV show called Reservation Dogs on FX.
Which is phenomenal.
Oh,
it's
thanks.
An amazing show.
And we're all behind that. The showrunner is Sterling Harjo, the guy that was from Oklahoma that was doing his feature films. My buddy Ryan Redcorn, who was with him, he's one of the writers as well. Miga Z, my stepbrother, was one of the writers from season 1 and is one of the executive producers. Bobby Wilson, our 5th member, is also executive producer. So 1491s are all behind the Reservation Dogs, along with some other amazing native writers and producers. So we kind of we grew up in many ways. Like we're like, hey, we hit the road and now we're doing this, and we've been talking about doing some more, getting back to our sketch now, and maybe trying to develop something. But we've integrated a lot of our sketches. There's a good amount of our comedy, our sketch work is in the show.
I could kind of see that, and it's so fun to see, sort of that transition from digital to like the big time, doing TV kind of the way you have. And that was kind of going to be my next question. Do you miss anything from like sort of the sketch days? Is there a creative freedom that you had there that maybe you don't now that you have other network voices and all that kind of guiding some things? Or do you pretty much have creative freedom on that show?
Pretty much creative freedom. Like Sterling Harjo has been able to hold the line. I mean, the biggest thing was the filming in Oklahoma. That was a hard line. He's like, I'm not filming in California. We're not filming anywhere else. We're filming it where the story takes place in Oklahoma.
Okay, I love that.
There. It's entirely shot in Oklahoma. It's for the most part, it's an entire Oklahoma film crew. So it's all local folks getting money and getting paid to be on that.
So yeah. I want to keep going down whatever my other question, but on this note here, I just want to address of you filming in Oklahoma, because does Oklahoma have tax credits to film there?
As I understand it, they're not great tax credits, but I think they developed them, it wasn't because of Reservation Dogs. It was actually, they developed it because of bridges over something like Osage County, one of those.
Oh,
movies.
yeah.
So they do have tax credits. So they do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think it's as good as like Georgia or like New Mexico, but it's there now. And
yeah.
Reservation Dogs has very much helped push the local like business, like people actually taking it serious and investing in the industry now.
So nice.
I think like one of Taylor Sheridan's show, like one of the Yellowstone offshoots, Tulsa King, which is Sylvester Stallone, that was filmed in Oklahoma now, and there's another project, and Scorsese's latest film that's going to be coming out was filmed in Oklahoma, called what was that called? Shoot, it's about the Osage murders back in the early 1900s. There was a whole series of murders, but I forgot the name.
Yeah, I also can kind of see it, but
anyways, Scorsese.
Yeah, it's not going to come. Yeah, okay. Big films. So I mean, that's cool because and do the people in Oklahoma, from your perspective working there, do they like it, or is it like a nuisance?
They like it. I mean,
that's
it's
great.
one of those weird things that you can be. I've encountered is like you can be in the most backcountry area, and also like people associate the media and a lot of rural areas is like, oh, that's the media, that's the left media over there. But if you have cameras in your neighborhood, you're excited. Like people, movies. It doesn't matter where you're at. Everyone's like, oh, we're in the movies, and they'll drive by. You'll see trucks, pickup trucks. The farmers come by and check it out, and they scope it out and wave to them. I was I like to fuck around when I'm on set, and I roam. Like I don't like sitting in my trailer. I don't like sitting still in a seat where they say, okay, the cast, you sit over here. Like I will roam, and then they'll have to find me. Um, and so I was in character. My character, folks don't know, is I play a Native American who died back in the 1800s at the Battle of was a Little Bighorn. And so like I'm dressed up as your stereotypical Indian on horseback with long hair. And so I would go in between takes. I'd go to the main street of the town we were filming and put my thumb out to hitchhike and wave to people. I went into the intersection and was directing traffic. And like there's a cop there and he was cool with it. Like the cop was like right there. I literally stopped traffic to like, direct it. And the cop was just laughing there to watch it. So we have a blast.
That's great. Tell me about why was it important to do spirits for the way that you chose to do that, kind of taking on the trope and then almost transforming it in a way, like cliche reform, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, it's that character is, I don't have a straight copy of that character in our sketch improv shows that we used to do. Oh, actually, answer one of your older a question you asked earlier is I do miss.
Oh yeah, I
miss live performance. Like I love the chaotic energy of being in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
And the way we did our show is that there were sketches, but we left them room for adaptation and improv. So we'd have these general outlines, and then based on the crowd and feedback from the crowd, we'd improv it. And so if we weren't vibing the crowd, we had our straight sketch. We'd just stick to it. And then if there was an open window, we'd take it and start improvising and open it up. And I love how nervous I got before going on stage. Like I'm one of those people, it doesn't matter. I've done it for so many years. I get so freaking nervous. But once you get on stage and the mic's hot, like it's out the window. I'm like, all right, this train's running. Let's just go for it. I kind of miss that.
Yeah, you get a bit of a high doing that. Do you just to get back to this, because I know we passed over, you said that you are now thinking of getting back into doing more sort of the 1491 sketch stuff on YouTube. Is that what you were saying?
We were talking about doing it live, or actually trying to pitch a show. Like, we're now in the TV world, right? It's like, yeah. Is the world ready for a sketch show? We don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's took a bit of a dip there. Sketch shows kind of
they were hot for Key and Peele and Chappelle and Amy Schumer, right? Or who was it?
Yeah,
someone else.
Schumer.
Yeah, and then they kind of went away for a bit.
I got a little bit of the ADD, so this be prepared because I just
Me too.
You know it's the way it goes. Because I saw your name, you were doing a performance over the summer up in Bemidji.
Yeah, I was actually. I did it not over the summer. No, I did it. I did it in December or late November, and it was dude, it was cold there, but what a beautiful part of the world. Right? Holy smokes, man.
Right.
Okay, so I went walking. I just gotta say this real quick because I also have ADD, but I went walking at the Bemidji Lake State Park. Does that sound right?
Yep,
so I'm walking. I love watching birds too. So I see so many bald eagles, so many, I think golden eagles, or it was a female bald eagle. I didn't have my glasses on, which was unfortunate. But as I'm walking back, there's a still warm perch in the middle of the path. So that one of those eagles got that perch. How pissed would you be if you're an eagle? First of all, it can't be easy to catch a perch like that. They're not always going up toward the top. You got to wait for them. So it comes down, gets that perch, full perch, just in the middle of the deal. Probably doesn't know where it is. Kind of buried with a powder of snow after it dropped. Still warm. How crazy is that?
And then all I hear is the eagle has the voice of an old guy, like an old farmer guy. Like, God damn, I can't find my keys, or the hell, where'd they put them? Where'd they put that perch?
Yeah. I almost just took that perch back with me and flayed it. Honestly, I
Oh
should have
yeah,
done it,
should have.
but I figured the eagle would come back for it, and I didn't want to, maybe it was sitting there watching. I kind of felt bad for it because, anyways, yeah. But Bemidji's so cool, dude.
I saw,
So cool.
yeah, that's right. I think I saw your name, the marquee tickets for sale. It was like they were already trying to sell the tickets sometime early. So I was like,
Yeah.
hey, it would be nice to see. But I was just visiting my family up that way.
If I'm not. I mean, I would love to do like maybe a collab thing at one of our shows or something. If
Yeah,
you guys start touring again or something, that would be a lot of fun.
that'd be
Or
awesome.
have you guys do a set or whatever.
I love that.
Yeah, we should work that out in the fall. I'm touring again. I know you're a busy fella though.
I was trying I've always wanted to do just straight stand up, and I've done it a couple of times, but it was like I got stuck. Like I felt stuck into like the sketch. We're doing sketch work and wanted to venture into stand up. So I haven't done much stand up myself, and I actually was working on a whole set, like a 5-minute set to really feel good with. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna do it. Like I got this. I know some open mics. I'm gonna go check it out here in Chicago. Like let's check it out. And then the pandemic hit, and I had the perfect excuse. I'm like, oh, I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I don't have to go anywhere. And but I'm at that place now where I want to build up that craft a bit more, and on a personal level, and develop that. So that's one of my aspirations over the next year or two, is to actually start getting into doing more stand up.
Oh, no kidding.
And just getting and the writing part, because of the show, because of the sketch work, like I've really been developing the writing part. It's just like the actual going out there and doing it is a dream of mine. I want to do.
Well, I'm over the next 9 months or so, kind of preparing for the next tour. I'm going to be doing these sort of pop-up shows, like Charlie Barron's and Friends shows, where I'll do like maybe 20 minutes just trying all new stuff.
Yeah.
So it's probably gonna go not great for me. But it'll be fun. But I'm thinking, like Zany's in Chicago on like what if they have an off night or something. Jumping in there, or there's a couple clubs in Milwaukee, so I'll hit you up if you want to come test out that Hot Five.
I'm game for that. That scares the crap out of me. Hell yeah, I'll be game for it. I gotta tell you that the interview you did with Jeff Foxworthy, was the single best podcast interview I've ever heard with a comedian talking about the craft of comedy.
Like, oh my gosh! Wow!
Like, dude, that shit. Like, I've listened to a bunch of different comedy podcasts and people talk about it, everything, but it was just really great and enlightening to hear your conversation and where it went. And he seems like a really easygoing guy. I was on the verge of I was expecting him to say that he also collects Indian skulls, but like, hey, I was like, that was in my mind. But then he clarified he doesn't collect skulls. So I was like, whoo, all right, cool. We're in the good. Just the arrowheads. That's great.
Yeah.
But seriously, that was a really great podcast and good job.
Thank you. That means really a lot coming from you. I appreciate that. Yeah, Jeff is, in his story. Actually, I'll ask you, what did you like about sort of what he was saying about comedy? Was it kind of like just how he got up there and started, or kind of the writing process, or?
I think it was the writing process that was really enlightening for me. Like just when you're both your conversations about the writing process and in the business side of it, right? The characters, right? Him talking about like he's known for the character, but he also has other pieces outside of that character. And like, how do you balance that? Because that's what draws the people in. People know you for that, and then you're able to do all this other stuff. Is really, really, really pretty great, because even for myself, I think about that as a native, I'm Dakota and Dene, and I am also a little bit of Ho Chunk. And I feel like in many ways it would be easy, and it has been easy at times to come up with comedy that speaks to that, like that experience. But then also I want to really put that, I want to take the chance and risk to expand beyond that and not, I think the goal is, I think all of us, we don't want to, especially for, I don't want to, I don't want to be too generalized, but in my experience, a lot of people of color and creatives, it's like, we don't want to be known as the Black director or as the Native director. We just want to be known as the director or a great freaking writer, a great comedian. But we also have to play with the algorithm of society that is, right? And when you, I think it was really, I don't know the specific reference, but Cat Williams, the stand-up comedian, had I remember him once talking about how like he's killed and strong. He has a really strong Black base, but his goal is to get to the broader base. Like he wants to get to as many people as possible. And that's really a big goal for him. I think there's a balancing act for me where I want to continue my work to continue to speak to my community, but at the same time, I do like the broader appeal. And that's a question I was going to ask to you. And like your journey, because you're based in the Midwest, right? And then your content speaks from the communities of the Midwest. And there's a balancing act, right? How do you go broad but maintain your focus and your passion? And so, like, do you feel challenged with that? Like, how do you balance all of that? No,
it's something that's very much so always on my mind because you built this audience. We built our niche based on the audience that is of that niche, and so it's almost like you do 2 for them, 1 for you, and then we kind of will, like, we did some of the bigger sketches don't have anything to do with the Midwest, like Questions at the Gas Pump is a sketch that we did that has a fair number of views, and that's not really Midwest, but it's Midwest. It's painted, or it's got that veneer of the Midwest, but it doesn't say Midwest in the title. Midwest isn't mentioned in the thing. So it's these, sort of these universal things, or like we did airlines, if airlines were people was kind of another one that sort of took off that wasn't really Midwest based. So it's almost like, I think you always do, you don't abandon your niche or your central fan base, but I think you always push yourself to do these outside of the box ones, or things that you just think are funny because they're funny, and then it almost makes the ones you do about your niche, it makes those pop more, because it's all about, I think, surprising the audience. And if you keep doing the same thing, well, then it's less of a surprise. But if you can bring in these outside ones, it helps your niche videos take off more, because now they're more surprising. And then these ones, if they're done well, they also take off more. So, but it is definitely a balancing act. And, you'll also get like, a bunch of negative comments every now and again saying like, you only do one thing. And it's well, I do a bunch of other stuff, but you just haven't seen it. I'm known for this. So, but I think I've always pushed against like you're pigeonholing yourself by doing X, Y, and Z, because it's just another creative game, and a fun creative game to get out of the pigeonhole or whatever it is. I mean, I think, are you, I mean, it's so funny hearing you bring this up, because I'm looking at you like, you made it. I mean, you are a friggin' rock star, dude. I mean, you got a killer show. A killer.
I got recognized. I got recognized at Chinatown yesterday in China, in Chicago. That was pretty crazy.
There you go.
I was coming out of a place with my family, and I was like, I had a stroller. I was dealing with the blanket with our kid, and I looked up, and this guy he's looking at me. He's with his wife and his kid, and he looks at me. He does the double take, this double take, and he looks at me. And he's like, "Hey," and he asks, "Are you Dallas?" Which is a weird question to ask, because it's almost like, "Do I know you?" kind of vibe. Because he's like, "Hey, are you Dallas?" Like as if somebody just told him to go look for Dallas down the road, right? And Dallas there. Dallas is coming out of this building. Go say hi to him. And I was like, yeah, I am. And he's like, oh, cool. Like I really respect and appreciate what you do for on Reservation Docs. And I was like,
That's amazing.
wow. And I was like, thank you. And he was like, yeah. And he just walked on to into the place. And I was like, holy crap, like that was random. Like that was pretty awesome. Like it was pretty cool, you know, a really cool experience. So
That's
in many
super
ways,
cool.
yeah, I have gotten to a place where there are my niche aren't the only folks that recognize me. It's other people
Yeah.
that will recognize me. So I do recognize that. And you know, for my character, like speaking to what we're talking about here, like my character spirit is your stereotypical Indian on a horseback, but it's almost it's a spoof on that, right? Like we want to
Mhm.
turn that upside down. And when Sterling Harjo, the showrunner, he told me about the show. He called me up and said, "Hey, I got a role. I have a couple roles I would like you to audition for." And so I actually auditioned for not only Spirit but also for the cop. I actually kind of wanted the cop, but I knew because I knew I could kill the Spirit. I knew I could do it, but I was like, I want to challenge myself and try to go for the cop. But I got the Spirit, which is great. It's fine. And you know, the script was pretty light because Sterling knew me. And when the lines he wrote were pretty like generic line, like they were just like, yeah, he was at the Battle of Little Bighorn, he died, horse rolled over him, he never actually got to the battle, and now he's a spirit helper. And when we went to go film the pilot, like it was really nerve wracking because there's a whole big crew there, hundreds of people, and Sterling's there, and he's nervous. I could tell he's nervous as hell too because this is the first show he's ever done, and he's directing it. But once we got the cameras rolling and we just started, like I did the lines, I did what was on paper, and then we just started riffing, started just improvising the bits out of it. And he would feed me lines and I would go back and forth, and we just like everything disappeared because we were just in the moment having fun. And so what you ended up seeing on camera was about maybe 70% improv. And
Oh man.
he filmed that pilot, like that first scene, the first scene in the first episode, and we had to take a break because I had to move the cameras. And I'm just sitting there by myself out in the little field. And Sterling comes up and he's like, "Man, can you fucking believe this? Like, and he's directing. Like, he's like, dude, I can't believe like the money that they're putting into. Like, I can't believe we're doing this. This is amazing. They should never have given us cameras. Like, this is crazy." And what he said sticks with me to this day. Is he was like, look, what we just filmed is going to be amazing on camera, but what we just did, dude, he's like, dude, we've been doing that for years. Like we've been doing this, but no one's invested into us. No one's given us the money to do this. And now we got the resources and they're investing in this. Like let's fucking kill them. Let's do the best we can. And like that was eye-opening for me. Like I'm like, yeah, the comedy you see in Reservation Dogs, the storytelling is what we have been doing, but there's been from the mainstream industry, there's been no investment into indigenous storytellers or filmmakers and directors and writers to the degree that we're now seeing. So it feels pretty darn good to be where we're
Oh,
at and to build what we're building.
you are you're also an activist and an organizer, and I feel like that your comedy is a different form of activism in a lot of ways, of just like the way you shape people's perceptions. And as a white guy watching it, you watch it and you're like, I know what you're saying there, because like
Yeah.
I probably screwed up in some of the ways that you're pointing out here and there. I know I have.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
I got a challenge for you, Charlie.
yeah.
How many tribes can you name that are in Wisconsin?
Oh, yeah.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, Ho Chunk, Oneida, Potawatomi, Stockbridge, Muncie. Hang on.
Okay, he's getting nervous.
I am Lac de Flambeau up there.
Mm-hmm.
And then okay, so then up by Bayfield, I'm not gonna Google. There's
and so that's all good. The ones up north, which tribe are they all belong to? Like there's different tribes.
Ojibwe.
Ojibwe, there you go.
Ojibwe, yeah.
Ding 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 ding.
Yeah.
Winner.
Winner. Wait, what? Okay, I'll just take the win. I'll take the W.
No, it's great. I was actually, that was one of my questions coming into it, and I wasn't like trying to set you up or like say expect you not to know them. Actually, I was like, hey, he probably knows the things, but it's always good to see anyone who's of a quote unquote influence. It's a weird title. I know it's a weird title, but like they also acknowledge and recognize the native folks who live within where they live or where they're from. I mean, because that's really what my character and the spirit and a lot of my comedy speaks to is the lack of information or misinformation, right? And to play on that because of our school systems in many ways haven't done justice when it comes to Indigenous history and the stories of Indigenous peoples, especially on the regional, local level, right? National level, we all hear about the main moments and the big picture things, but on the regional, local level, sometimes it's really lacking. And I think I as a comedian, I find so much comedy in that, the fact that of what the misinformation that we have, and because it sets you up to really counter those expectations, right? What do you expect when you see an Indian on horseback on TV? You know, you expect a stoic warrior, and here in Reservation Dogs, you get a not stoic warrior who didn't even get to the battle. He died before the actual battle happened, right? And let's just enjoy and live in that moment. And all of our, whenever spirit comes up, I really like to speak to like, what is the counter narrative that we're trying to push here, that in the comedy within that, right? You're expecting the stoic Indian wisdom, but yet you see a spirit on a porta potty eating an apple, right? That's it's a scene that I have. Like that's what I'm speaking to. So like the question I give to you is almost a part of that, the whole meta narrative of what do we not know about the places where we live. And I got to say, like, I know I'm talking a lot, but I just appreciate your podcast and what you do, because it's really grounded in community. It's grounded in the region that people care and love for. But even within that region, there's a lot of history that we don't know. And I think I love that. Appreciate you bringing on comedians and other like people who speak from that region, whether whatever background they are, to help like flush that out, right? So it's a nod. I'm tipping the hat to you, sir.
Oh well, sir, I very much so appreciate that. And I will be honest, growing up too, sort of in the suburbs of Milwaukee, sort of my education on the issue was, I don't want to say non-existent, but not up to snuff, I think. And it wasn't until like I did this one video, right? The Manitowoc Minute, the first one, I didn't expect it to take off, and then it did. And then I was doing more. And then I think people kind of, were asking me the questions about Wisconsin, the Midwest. And I was a little bit uncomfortable with it, to be honest with you, because I represent one aspect of the Midwest, and that's sort of this one. Yeah. And then I wrote this book, The Midwest Survival Guide, and I got even more uncomfortable because in it, the publisher wanted sort of like, they had these ideas of doing a timeline of the history of the Midwest. And then I was like, oh shit. I mean, because like Manitowoc is that is a native word. Sheboygan is a native word. And Milwaukee, Potawatomi, and so we've got to honor this in a way, and it can't just be lip service. It's got to be authentic, and then add comedy. But it was very hard for me to try and figure out where was appropriate for me to add comedy to it. So I had who was on my podcast as well, Josie Lee. She's Ho-Chunk, and she's incredible. She helped guide me quite a bit on that. And but in doing that book, I'll admit to you, the early phone calls I had with her, my ignorance had shown. It very much so did. And I don't have any excuse for that, because I've had opportunities to figure it out. But I'm kind of learning as I go. I did an intertribal powwow up at Stockbridge Muncie up in Bowler. Have you been up there at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, have you done North Star with the 1491?
We stayed at North Star. We did we stayed in Stockbridge, but we actually did a show in Menominee, over in
Oh
Menominee.
yeah, sure.
And we did a video there, on Menominee Res in their forest, and we did a spoof on what was it, Last of the Mohicans, and the running scene, and there's a violin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did a whole bit on that, and it's beautiful up there.
It's incredible.
So amazing. But that's my experience there at Stockbridge, Muncie.
Yeah. Well, and I was just kind of, I think it's I'm glad you kind of brought this up too, because I think, white people, I'll speak, for, I guess, myself and maybe people I know that are also white and are not sure how to approach some of these things. I think it's sometimes it's like you want to do the right thing, but you haven't taken the time to figure out what the right thing is to do. And so you kind of clam up. You're like, am I supposed to say Native American or not Native American or indigenous, or like, how do I, and then what happens is you just kind of get nervous. Yeah. And these interactions that you could have where you could learn something, you're just kind of nervous and you're just like not absorbing anything. So I think kind of just breaking down and understanding that you're going to make mistakes, you're going to be ignorant. You didn't grow up that way. It's not 100% your fault, but I think to just not do anything or to not figure out at all. But more so, I'm saying all this to lead up to a question for how you feel on it, because who gives a shit how I feel on it,
Yeah, keep your white tears to yourself, Charlie.
I know. Jeez. They're not even salty.
But collect them, because we use them in ceremony. So I feel like, I grew up in Southwest Minnesota, right? And I also, my stepdad was from South Dakota, so I actually went back and forth between Eastern South Dakota and Southwest Minnesota for most of my life. Spent the summers in Minneapolis and Southside Minneapolis, which still to this day has a fairly prominent Native community. There's a lot of Native folks who live in Southside Minneapolis, and we're used to it. Like, used to the fact that folks around us don't know about much who we are, right? I grew up, my community in Southwest Minnesota, Lower Sioux Indian community, it's a tiny res. It's like 5 miles by like 8 mile, like 5 miles by 8 mile, kind of like a little block. And it's like it's a dash of pepper on a sea of salt kind of vibe. We're in Minnesota, right? It's like cornfields and white farmers everywhere around us. And we grew up with the ignorance. I grew up with my friends, my non-native friends, who'd be like, "Oh, I can't go to your home. I can't go to the res because my parents said it's not safe there," right? Where it's too dangerous out there, or we're not allowed to go anywhere where there's other natives around. And that's what we grew up with, right? And we had to just deal with it. And I guess even to this day, my sister has kids. She's raising back there, where there's still that stigma. And so, I've seen a lot of growth over the past, 20 years, a lot of public education. A major moment in Minnesota, at least, was a history around the U.S. Dakota War of 1862. Was a major education system, an endeavor that the state took upon to really educate folks on the history of Dakota and white relations in the state and that war that happened. For folks that don't know, this is like here, I'm putting my teacher organizer hat on. For folks that don't know, we just finished, there was an event that just happened a couple of days ago that happens every year on an annual basis. And so on December 26, 1862, in Mankato, Minnesota, it was the largest mass hanging in U.S. history to this day. The largest mass hanging in U.S. history happened in Mankato, Minnesota, where they hung 38 Dakota men at the same time. They built this massive scaffold. Thousands of people came out to celebrate, and they had cannon salute and all that stuff. And they were all warriors of my people who fought in the War of 1862. And to this day, on an annual basis, every Christmas night, we do a memorial run in memory of them from Fort Snelling, which is in St. Paul, Minnesota, right in the confluence of the Minnesota and Mississippi River. And we run 92 miles relay style all night to Mankato, Minnesota, to the hanging site. And in conjunction with that, there's a horseback ride that happens. It's a 300-mile horseback ride that leaves from the Missouri and the Missouri River and rides to Mankato. And those are in memory not only of the men that were hung, but also of the hundreds and hundreds of families who were forcibly relocated out to South Dakota and removed from Minnesota. And so we do this memorial run and ride every year. I think this might be the last year for the ride, but the run still goes. And my family's participated in it since I was a kid. I haven't been able to go for the past 2 years, but it's a pretty powerful thing that a lot of folks don't know about, why we do this run and the history of it, to honor those relatives who died. And it's a history that sadly a lot of folks don't know, even, and especially in Minnesota. I think that's what I'm saying is Minnesota, we're trying to do better to educate folks on it, but so we just continue to talk about it. So put that in your timeline, Charlie, of your comedy book of all the funny tidbits of history of the Midwest. Put that in your book.
See, you're hitting on it right there. Yeah, go ahead and make that funny boy. But no, I am glad you brought that up. And your family, you come from, your dad is obviously a very famous activist. What was it like? And your mom is what was it like growing up in a family like that, and how did that influence you?
My dad is Navajo. My mom is Dakota, German, and we're part Ho-Chunk. My Ho-Chunk side, they're from Black River Falls. I don't know much on that side, but that's okay. I want to recognize that. My German side, actually, I just started learning this. My sister did the ancestry thing. What is it? Ancestry, whatever. And so I was like, I'm never going to do that. I'm not going to give them my DNA. I won't do that. My sister did it. I'm like, okay, I'll use your information, login information. Yeah. That's how I skirted around the moral issue of giving up my DNA. So I let my sister do it. But we never knew our German side. My mom's dad really didn't know it, but they were actually German immigrants back in mid 1830s into Wisconsin, and they came in to do for the lumber industry, and then they migrated over the river and came into Minnesota. So my German side they originally came into Wisconsin and then came over to Minnesota. My mom is hilarious, and that's I think where I get a lot of my comedy and my humor, my lightheartedness to it. And my dad, that's where I get my organizing side, my world perspective. And I get really grounded. I really find a lot of direction from both of them. They separated when I was young. My dad lived in Minneapolis, so I used to go to Minneapolis, and he moved to Bemidji and ended up going to Bemidji a lot. And my mom has always been, I don't know, to be honest, I don't know how she's made it this far. And she says that too. She's she's been through a lot of shit. A lot of difficult history. She wrote a book about her a lot of the trauma she experienced when she was younger. But she's she lives by the mantra, don't sweat the small stuff. She has these little sayings that I still continue to this day. I have. And she really is hey, don't let, just keep going. Just keep going and make light of the situation. It's the best we can do. And I really take that to heart. So I love my mom. She's just hilarious. I actually want to do a little podcast, a series of I want to interview her and talk with her. That's one of my dream projects over the next few years, is do something with my mom.
That would be super cool. Like a sort of a mini series podcast type thing.
Yeah. She has a great perspective on a lot of stuff.
What did they think about you and your brother when you guys started doing comedy?
Oh, they were always have been supportive, 100%. But just you boys, you guys are you're just off. You boys are just crazy. 100% supportive. Like for the first shows that we started doing, they were the ones that used to always come out. It was actually, so I told you about the show. One of our worst shows was my own home community, and it's because they didn't advertise it. No one knew about it. There was 15 people showed up, and 10 of them weren't even from my community. They were a bunch of interns who were visiting from a program out of the cities who happened to be there. And they're like, oh, let's check this out. So like 10 of them weren't even from my community, weren't even from there. And then the other ones were happened to be walking by. And my buddy who I did the show with, Bobby, the point that he always loves to really jab at is that my mom showed up, but she didn't even come into the show. She stood on the outside and was smoking a cigarette the entire time, looking through the window. So she was just like looking at the window, just smoking cigarettes and visiting with people. So she didn't even see the show. And she came in and she was like, oh, you guys did such a good job. And I was like, Mom, you weren't even inside the building. Like, you could at least be in the room. Help me out, Mom. I needed to laugh, Mom. But yeah, I forgot where that came from. But yeah.
But as far as support, so where would you put that on the support level? You know,
like at least she showed up, right? Like, hey, I got to give her that. She showed up.
Right.
She's there.
That's it's funny because at heart, you got. I'm sorry. You said that your mom moved to.
Yeah, my dad was in Minneapolis. He moved to Bemidji. He's been in Bemidji for like 20 years now, and my mom has been living in Southwest Minnesota for a long while. We lived in South Dakota for a bit, and then we moved home. But yeah, I got. Just other note, the interview you did with your sisters was amazing. I'm looking forward to part 2.
Yeah,
it was hilarious.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah. I got four more sisters ready to rock on that.
How many? Like, I just laughed. How many times they shot you down or like cut you short, and you can't say nothing. I get it. That was you couldn't say anything. You were trying to be professional and herd cats, and you can only go so far.
Dude, my mom, after listening to that, she was so pissed off.
Did she actually listen to it? I know you guys are.
She listened to it. She listened to it, and she was mad about my sister saying backseat bingo and all this and that, and she was mad. She was mad for a day, and then like the next maybe 2 days later, she sent a text. She goes, okay, I listened again. It was kind of funny. And I was like, I'm going to frame that text message and put it on the thing.
You got it, right? There's that fear, right? There's that, it's a generational fear of airing out the dirty laundry.
I know. Yeah, I was actually just going to say that about your folks. Like they're still Midwest parents at heart. They'll show their approval in certain ways, but stop short of, maybe the full approval thing.
Yeah. They'd be like, oh, that was good. That was sweet. And I'm like, all right, I'll take that. As a W. How'd your commencement speech go? And your feeling? How do you feel like you did on the commencement speech? Because I remember you listened to that, and I saw the video. I actually watched some of the video.
Dude, thank you very much. I really appreciate you checking that out. I thought it went as really good. I mean, I was concerned about for like I would say 2 months. I was trying to figure out how to write it and do it, and I was pretty happy with it. I think obviously you have one take at this, right? So like if I flubbed a couple of the jokes or whatever, but you just roll with it. And honestly, I was super honored to do it. I was surprised they asked me, but excited that they did, and I didn't want to kind of half-ass it or whatever. So yeah, I felt pretty good about it. Yeah, you must have done one of them at some point.
I've done 2 for like community colleges, and I got asked. I got asked to do one this coming year for another community college. This summer, spring, whenever. And one of them I did serious, and the other one I did comedic. The comedic one is the better way. It's a better route to go. Like the serious one, everyone's like, we didn't pay you to come here to be serious. We came here. We need people to, right?
But you got 4 paid?
Years. Yeah, I got paid, and it wasn't a lot, but I got paid.
Yeah,
I got paid in a mug in a blanket. That's what I got.
Yeah,
a nice good commemorative mug.
It's tough.
Is your actually one of your jokes got me was when you said like something about like, oh, he's doing the commencement. Oh, it's the winter commencement.
Yeah.
Because literally that was my reaction. I saw the video. I was like, oh, he's doing the winter commencement. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
All
At
right.
first, I was like,
Okay.
he shouldn't be doing that. Oh, the winter one. Okay, that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. All right. All right. Cool. Cool. All right. Cool. We're not gonna get mad. All right.
It's tough though that you've done two of them, because I did kind of a speech for the journalism school a couple years ago, and
Mhm.
you kind of use up your commencement material. You
Yeah.
got your
Yeah.
opening 5 minutes, which is all jokes about like kind of the time we're in and the school and this and that. But man, you can really burn up your best material if you keep doing these at the rate
Yeah.
you're doing them. 3, geez Louise.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with the first one, I didn't write anything down. I didn't prepare. I just went up there and winged it, and it didn't do too well, but it was all right. People shook my hand, right?
They
I was
shook
gonna
your
ask,
hand out.
yeah, I was gonna ask you. This is a comedy question for your stand up, if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, do you write out like how do you, in your writing process, do you write out the complete full set, or do you bullet point and like
Yeah.
and then go off the bullets? Like what's
So
your process?
my process is, and since you already do a lot of improv, this probably will work out good for you. I would write out sort of your launching point with your first joke. You get the topic and your joke right out the way. Maybe you have 1 or 2 killer punchlines within the story. And then kind of allow yourself to dig a hole on stage, because once you're in a hole on stage, your brain is in this fight mode. You can't
Mhm.
fly. You can't
Mhm.
just, I mean, I suppose you could bail out of the bit, but usually you're going to get this kick of adrenaline in your brain. And then you're going to find it's not even, I don't even feel like I write the joke at that point, but like something's happening. And if you record these too, and that's how you can kind of write on stage, just give yourself a good out. Like, so just give yourself a good intro, good punchline, good out punchline. And then in the middle, you can really expand it and find it on stage. And now for your hot 5, you kind of want that one to be pretty tight and like sort of get the mechanics and the feel of that down. But you have so much experience that I guarantee you, once you get up there and like do that 5, you're going to have 10 within like two sets, and then 15, 20. But yeah, I mean, the other way to do it for the 5, the hot 5, is to just, and this is the way I did it when I first did, is I wrote it out. I knew all the jokes and everything. My problem was memorizing. And so I was in Los Angeles at this point, and I was in traffic all the time. And what really clicked with me stand-up wise was when I was just doing it over and over in traffic instead of listening to the radio or whatever. Yeah. And then I had it internalized, so then I could be present on stage. Yeah. And sort of, because the words are one thing, but how you deliver them and the nuance and all that. So, do you have that 5 minutes you wrote, do you have that kind of ingrained in your brain, or is it still sort of in flux?
I did. I let it. I look back at it, and I want to trash it and just start from scratch, because it wasn't as strong. It wasn't as strong as a 5 as I felt comfortable with, and I told what you're saying does speak to me. Like, right, you have your intro, you set the premise. You get establish a couple of jokes to get the ball moving, and then you set your goal. Like that's how we did all of our sketch writing. Is like, we have the end goal in mind. Let's work to the end goal. Let's fucking make that the best fireworks show. Get towards that. Yeah. And so it makes sense. Like, that's how we did a lot of our sketch shows. Is actually we would come up with the premise and out, and then we took a couple shows just to work it out, improv the in between stuff to find what lands. And then and whatever sticks, you keep it in, right? And whatever doesn't hit, you toss that out and you try to put something else in there. No, I appreciate that. I haven't been on Reservation Dogs. So the first season, we're going to be going into produce. We're going to start filming season 3 this spring. I came on as a writer for season 2. So season 1, I was just an actor. And so season 2, I wrote for this show as well as acting. So I got to write for myself. Actually, most of my spirit parts, I my brother Migazi writes, my stepbrother,
Oh.
because I get so nervous writing for myself sometimes, my character, and he knows he knows me, we know each other, so he writes for me sometimes. A lot of the bits by him. And I'm getting so much experience there, right, in the writer's room and to be in the industry. I've been really lucky because of the pandemic. Everything's been remote, so I haven't had to move to LA. I don't want to move to LA. I want to try to stay as close to home as possible. So far, so good, where I've been getting these writing gigs where I can just be remote. And I think that hopefully that translates better to when I get back into live performances. Like my writing ability is getting stronger. So, and I think what you said is absolutely essential. Like the words are one thing, but how you perform it, that's where the comedy lives, is in the performance. I really feel like.
Yeah, and it's like if you could have a good joke, but it's falling flat, and then I think you asked the question, am I adding the right emotion to it? Like, how do I feel about it? And because the more you feel about it, the more you raise the stakes, the more the audience is with you. Small thing made big, all that sort of stuff. But I honestly, my brother, even in Milwaukee, my brother puts on these great shows, and if you want to even get come up and do 5 minutes on that, like in the next month or two, man, come on up and do it.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, dude. And also I'm going to be doing some shows. The other thing we should do is I should come down there, and we should, if you're down, we should do a sketch of some sort.
Dude, I would love to do a sketch with you.
Let's do it.
I'll get that native representation in your sketch, brother.
I would add, yeah, right. Yeah. But I would love it. I would love it.
I would love that. It'd be great. Yes. That's a yes. It's a strong yes. I was thinking, what is always great, as I always see it for you. So this is a pitch for you. I think someone already I looked into it, but what was the movie? Grumpy Old Men. You remember Grumpy Old Men? Like, I want to see a redo of Grumpy Old Men, but with like today's generation and how different that may be or not. Right? It was such a great
ice fish.
Huh? I haven't ice fished in like years. It's been a long time. I gotta get back out into the ice.
I mean, I think that's a big part of Grumpy Old Men. So I feel like that's a good excuse. You know what, dude? I've got this 1980 Yamaha snowmobile. Okay, I just need to fix the carburetor. I'm blowing out. I'm waiting on my carb rebuild kit coming in. It needs a couple gaskets. But anyway, point is, this sucker's going to be done.
Hey, hold on. You were talking about, when did you do the interview with your sisters? How long ago was that?
I don't want to talk about, because that was
you were talking about the carburetor there.
I know.
In a month.
So I took the carburetor off. Okay, and I cleaned it out and everything, and then and it's still not working. So I pulled, so I need a new gasket, and I need a new diaphragm. It's supply chain stuff, dude. Don't get on me like my sisters.
All right. All right. It's the Chinese. I mean, I get it. I know what you're saying. Fine. Fine.
It's supply. I've been waiting on this rebuild kit to come in. Should be in this week though. Okay. But no, that would be fun, man. We could do that. Let's start off with a sketch, and I like this Grumpy Old Men reboot thing. Because I've been thinking about that. I was even watching that, but I was like, this is perfect. And no, it hasn't been done since then. And Hollywood loves its reboots, so let's just give them what they want,
My favorite line from that movie is I've laid more pipe than Wabasha Plumbing.
As he grabs his arm.
Yeah, he grabs his arm, old man. Laid more pipe than Wabasha Plumbing.
What do you think if we did a sketch? What do you think will be fun? You got any ideas?
No, I'll think on it. I'll definitely think on it, because I think there's a lot of room there. Because I've traveled so much, I've worked myself, like I code switch all the time. So I got this standard like ambiguous accent, right? Minnesota, whatever. But when I go home, it kicks up, and I love accents. I actually love Minnesota accents, especially native accents, especially up north. It's really, really strong. I was asking you about that, about how your accent shifts a lot at times. It depends on who you're with, right? Accent gets stronger, sometimes it doesn't, and also there's the character part of it too.
Yeah.
And I like to play with that, like just because folks aren't used to the accents, especially the native accents up north. I don't even think Midwesterners are used to it sometimes.
Well, it's a little different, but it's there's less similarities too, and I mean a lot of it is inspired by that accent. I think we're taken from that,
There's also a lot of cursing.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah. Well, that is pretty prevalent in my entire family, and I think that's why my mom was upset that I was on the podcast in such great form. She's mad at my sister for saying asshole. I was like, well, Dad says a lot worse every single day.
I had to explain to some folks from California the difference between yeah, no, and no, yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, no. And they're like, what do you mean? I don't know what you're trying to say. Is it yes or no? I'm like, no, well, yeah, no. I mean,
no, yeah. It's
it is.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That could be a good bet.
No. No,
yeah.
Let's brainstorm it because I'll be down to do something. And yeah, like I love being from the Midwest. I love from being in Dakota territories and Ho-Chunk territories. Like that's first and foremost, whenever I acknowledge, I'm like, hey, I'm in my own home community. Like this is the land. Like right now in Chicago, I live on Anishinaabe territories. This is where Menominee, Potawatomi, Sac and Fox folks, this is the original territory. But when I go home, I'm like, I relish and enjoy and just feel so good that I'm in the homelands of my people that we've been here since time immemorial, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a power to that that I enjoy of just like I'm here, even though we weren't supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be here in many ways, but we are still doing what we're doing. And so I like just doing anything that's regional, speaks to us. It's great. It's great stuff.
I love that. And by the way, as we were talking, I forget what I say about the what I called the tribe up by Superior. Bad River Band is the name of it. I was thinking that as we were talking. I'm like, yeah. Have you been up there? Have you been up to Bayview?
I've been in Bad River, Red Cliff. Been up there. Beautiful spot on the lake. Beautiful up that way.
It's incredible. Have you done those caves? Those sea caves? Have you done them?
No.
Oh my God, dude. So beautiful up there. You take a kayak or whatever, and then you gotta make sure the waves aren't too bad, because then you'll get crashed right into the side of the thing. Yeah. But oh my God, it's beautiful up there.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go up that way. I also heard in the winter it's nice because you can actually go on. I can actually walk out there. You know what I love about winter, and I don't know if you do this. I don't know if other people do this. This is the one thing I'm testing for. As a guy in the winter in the Midwest, there's a certain amount of joy I find peeing outside.
Oh my God!
Yeah. There's and my mom used to get mad at me because there was a bathroom. We have a working bathroom, but I'm like, no, I want to go pee outside because it's winter and it's nice and it's night out and it's cold. I don't know if there's like some primeval joy, something in there from our hunter-gatherer days of like back long time ago that's sticking around. But I don't know. Do you find joy in that? Because I do.
Dude, I love melting some snow. I love it. And then you can make a little design in the snow as you melt it. Now, the gals listening to this are a little jealous right now because they can't make designs like we can. And it's not as pleasant for them, I would imagine. But I don't know because I've never done it that way. But yeah, to answer your question, yes. Is this a sketch pitch or is this just a
No, I'm just it just popped into my head. Like I'm just like because I'm looking outside and I'm like, oh, I'd like to go pee outside sometime today. That's the joys of winter break, right? It's like such things come into your mind. You're like, oh, I'm gonna take that moment of joy.
As you were saying that, made me think of something. I was thinking of doing a Max Larson, my producer, very talented dude. He wanted to do a short film, and this winter, and we thought about last year really because we were on Lake Winnebago. You ever been up to Lake Winnebago?
No, I haven't.
No, it's the largest inland freshwater lake, I think. Next, big, Champlain, whatever, down in Illinois might be as big or whatever. Long story short,
is that Oshkosh? Oshkosh on the lake?
Oshkosh, Fond du Lac.
Never been.
Well, we were another way we could potentially collaborate is we were thinking of doing this short film called Winnebago, and it's about an ice fisher on Lake Winnebago, and it's not even fully like comedic, but it's going to be very grounded and very real. And maybe we talk about that too, and maybe we can collab on that in some way.
Do you have you done like dramatic roles? Have you done any like non-comedy roles?
I've done one.
How do you feel?
I mean, the thing with comedy is I think it's easier in some ways, harder in some other ways. But this would be comedic to a degree. Yeah. I mean,
I guess my mind has moved on. Like I really like. I would love to talk about it, and you hit me up about what you would see for me in that role. But then also, I'm like, I've thought about as an actor, like I'm intrigued with taking dramatic roles, right? But I feel like I've obviously comedy is my mainstay, and if there's comedy elements, I would love that. But then if people have asked me like, would you do a straight drama role? And I'm like, ooh, fuck, I don't know, man. Like, could I do that? And maybe it's more of a question of could I do that? Could I? Oh,
you could do it.
Yeah, And how about you? Could you do it? Do you think you could do a full dramatic role?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could do it good, but I could do it.
right. I don't know if I could do it good, but I could cry.
But I honestly, I think if you can do comedy and you can do comedy well, you can do drama well too, because it's just the flip side of that emotional perspective. And a lot of times, you do small thing made big in comedy, where you're like being emotional over something that's not a big deal. Like we did this one video called "Missing Lambo," where we were just I found a tear. I shed a tear during it. I was able to do that on the
You
spot.
Tapped into that part, the essence.
Yeah, I tapped into some little sad part inside of me. It's there. I'd have to work at it, a bit. I don't want to think I can just waltz in there and do a great dramatic performance, but we'll get there.
With that, with you saying that, your boys, how are you guys doing? Playoffs could. I mean, I'm speaking from a high mountain. I'm speaking from a tall mountain over here.
Don't get comfortable up there, pal.
I'm casting my gaze down right now, saying, how are you guys doing down there?
Listen, we're doing great. I want to say this, and I'm feeling more confident about the Packers' chances right now than the Vikings' chances. And I'll say this: you guys have been the Packers. The Packers the past 2-3 years is the Vikings this year. Do you know how close you guys are to a 6-10 season? Jeez Louise, you do not deserve. Also, you guys play in a dome.
Okay. All right. Keep your Lambo. Like I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand it.
You gonna go to the game? You gonna go to the biggest game of the year?
Woo! I wish I could go, man. It's gonna be a good game. I'm gonna be nervous because I'm gonna be honest. Our Vikings, I think, have collectively probably have caused a tremendous amount of heart attacks in Minnesota this year. I think across the spectrum of Minnesota, the life expectancy has dropped by at least 10 years this year.
Yeah.
Every damn game has been it's been great football, but so nerve-wracking to watch.
I was listening to some commentator on something saying they were talking about Minnesota being a good or bad team this year. And the one dude was taking the thing I just said of that they've had so many close games, it's not going to happen. But the other guy was like, there's just some magic in it this year. There's some magic, So sounds like some a Vikings fan would say. But
I mean, hey, we're used to that. I'll be honest. I'm not expecting to get to the final game. I'm not like we've been here. Like I think all of us remember like the playoff game, NFC Championship game with the Atlanta Falcons. It's ingrained in our hearts about the loss that year in 1998 NFC Championship. It's there. So we're just happy to be here, guys. We're just happy to be here. And as long as we can look down that mountain at the Packers, we're good.
You know what? Just embrace it. Take it in, okay? Take this moment in. We do not know when it will come back. It was like in 1996, I remember, when the Packers were going to the Super Bowl. My dad, I remember he looked at me and my brothers. He said, all right, it was going into the Super Bowl. He's like, you guys enjoy this and watch the whole game, because this will never happen again in your lifetimes. That's what he said to us. It was hilarious. That's a guy who lived through the 80s and the 70s Packers, you know?
Yeah. So I am excited for the game. I'm a bit nervous because Rodgers is one of those people that you don't want, no matter how good or bad he's playing, no matter where he's at. If you're down by 1 point and he got the ball 2 minutes left, that's a dangerous situation. And Indians have put him in that spot. I went to school with Aaron Rodgers. That's might give me points for your podcast.
Wow! You wait till the end to start flexing, and he was there at that time.
He was there. He played for the California Bears. It was him. His running back was Marshawn Lynch, and I was in a class with Rodgers in Lynch. There was a Pacific Islander history class, and all the Pacific Islanders on the front line, the OL, took that class, and they got all the other buddies to take their class because it's a special class for the athletes, and I jumped in on that. So I was in a class with Aaron Rodgers and Marshawn Lynch.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Were they good at school?
Aaron Rodgers was very eloquent. He was actually pretty. He would really participate in the conversation. I remember that. So
yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
End of the episode bonus points. I'm putting.
Yeah, that is that for those of you who stayed and listened this long. By the way, I'm so over your time. I apologize, but you know what? Let's I'm going to start coming up with some ideas, and we'll head down to Chicago and shoot some, get some get some momentum going.
Awesome. Hey, Charlie, this has been a blessing. And actually, for weird, like I feel a little I did message like last night. I was up late, and it was like 1 a.m. and I was like, oh yeah, I was going to message Colleen on an email, and I said to her, like, hey, I'm really excited for the show. I'm looking forward to it. I actually had a little list of things I wanted to talk about.
Oh, shit. I didn't see that.
And I actually talked about them all. Like I presented.
Oh, good. Good. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think that, I was able to plug them all in. Like those are the questions I came up with, but are things I wanted to talk about. And long story short, I was like, I was wondering if I was going to meet Colleen because I've heard her on the podcast.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Another time.
She's over there. She's listening.
I'm on right now.
Hey!
There she is. There's the voice. Yeah.
There I am. I'm not going to turn on the camera because I'm working from home, so we don't need to.
No, I didn't want you to turn on the camera. It's okay. It's all right. Hey, I appreciate you both. Y'all have a good day.
Appreciate you, man. This was so awesome. Thank you.